Welcome to MSU Magazine, where we bring you original segments produced by talented media students right here from Morehead State University. On this week's episode, we start with Women in Action, where Mai Kinchin will showcase the world of female athletes. After that, we'll tune into Ash Culp and Maya McIntosh on Genres with Gen Zs, while they'll discuss David Fincher's cult classic, Fight Club. Let's swing by with Mai Kinchin as she presents Women in Action.
Hi, my name is Mayumi, and welcome to Women in Action. Today we have softball player Red Campbell. So where are you from?
I'm from a small town in Georgia called Hartwell.
So what made you come to lovely Morehead State University?
When I came on the visit, they made everything seem like you're at home, make you seem like you're a part of the family here.
What made you want to play softball, and who'd you look up to?
When I was growing up, I played in all types of sports that you could think of. So when I got into softball, I just stuck with it. My role model growing up was Jenny Finch because she was a pitcher and I was a pitcher, so I just looked up to her.
I get it. The people I looked up to were Jackie Traina and Haley McClendon. I just really love them. Oh, so much. Okay, so what do you believe is like the biggest challenge in women's sports?
The biggest challenge in women's sports nowadays are that they don't get taken seriously as much as men's sports do. I feel like they look at women as underdogs in this world, which the way the world is set up, they are, but I think they should take it more seriously.
No, I can really agree with that because male athletes in sports are considered like popular in this whole entire because they have good production, good commentary, good pay. Like you can see all that with them, and you look at women's sports and it's just not there for us. Like I think that if women's sports had all of that, then we'll be just fine. Like we get the numbers, it's just that they won't give us the opportunity to actually showcase it, and that's what we struggle with a lot. Like you'll see a lot of NFL games, you'll see a lot of NBA games on TV, but you'll never see women's sports. Like they only show us if it's a championship or we're in playoffs or regionals. Like college sports, you'll see like the sports there, but when it comes to professionally, we don't have anything for women. And that's really a shame because I feel like the sporting environment does not really treat us women athletes as great as the male athletes.
As equal.
Yes. It's a lot, but they don't really treat us equally, and it's just crazy. So what was it like being growing up in sports?
Growing up in sports as a girl was really challenging because when you're younger, you don't understand why a boys' sport is getting so much attention than a girl's sport is. It could be more attention to the boys' sports than it is girls. They might get more stuff for the boys because they're boys, and you just feel like, well, should I just be a boy instead of a girl playing in sports because they get more attention, they get more stuff, more attention, anything like that.
Yeah, I get it. I know growing up, it was always between baseball versus softball. I know my high school, there's always kind of like that beef, you can say, going back and forth because like, oh, people look at baseball and they're like, baseball is so much harder than softball. I mean, really, like no sport is really easy because if it was, we'll all be doing all types of sports, but it's always that versus, and we're just not seen as just athletes. So growing up being a girl, it was kind of hard because people didn't think that we could do the same thing as other male athletes can do. Mm-hmm. Like you look on Instagram, like ESPNW, Just Women's Sports, Instagram, you'll see like, women playing sports, getting showcased as they should, and they have like a highlight reel of something, and then you look down the comments and it's just a bunch of like comments that has nothing to do about what is being shown. It's just something totally different, and all they're trying to do is just promote and give the opportunity to that particular athlete that did what they're doing. So I really agree with that. I really do. But what do you think can help people drive towards more women's sports?
I think that people should look into girls' sports, just look into girls even more in the world, promoting them on commercials, letting them get opportunities in the world that men do.
I agree. What does it mean to be a woman in sports?
It means a lot to me being a woman in sports because I can be part of the changes that the sport is making in the world, even with it being softball. Softball is not very popular like that, but I'm a part of the change in the world for women's sports.
I agree. That's good. And that's all the time we have for today. See you next time. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Do you consider yourself a leader? Then apply today to be a residential advisor at Morehead State. You'll be a part of making a huge difference on campus. You even get a room provided to you as an extra perk. As an RA, you do your best to make sure dorm life is awesome. Apply today. Be an RA.
Wow, Maya really knocked that interview out of the park. I am so glad we were able to get a first-hand look at the world of female athletes and the battle they're fighting off the mound. Women in Action really showed us there is nothing soft about softball. Next, we'll visit Ash Culp and Maya McIntosh on Genres with Gen Zs, where they'll deliver a 1-2 punch to your brains as they thrill you with the review of the dramatic film Fight Club.
I don't want to talk about it.
You have to. Welcome to the first ever meeting of Genres with Gen Zs.
Yay.
Whoa!
If you haven't guessed it, we're talking about Fight Club today. Fight Club is the story of an unnamed narrator who lives a mundane and monotonous life, but after meeting the alluring Tyler Durden on a plane, his life turns to chaos. His house explodes, he moves in with Tyler, he starts having a strange lapse in memory, and with Tyler at his side starts the Fight Club, that later evolves and becomes a terrorist escapist organization. Alright, so on this show, basically, we want to talk about how certain movies are a good representation of their genre, hence the name Genres of Gen Z. So, in the beginning, I'd say we start by talking about how Fight Club itself is kind of a good representation of the action genre, but it also doesn't just restrict itself to that, and that's kind of one of the things that makes it such a quality film, is yes, it is an action film, but it does so much more, and it does it well.
Yeah, and not only that, adding on to what they do well extra-wise, is, spoiler alert, pointing out how Tyler and the narrator are the same person. Not only in many of the shots you can't see both of them at the same time, but the ones you do, the focus is on one of them and never the other. Also with conversations, they're never included in the same one unless it is
Them talking to each other.
Exactly. Or a very rare one like the one in the car, the characters are only looking at one of the characters as they're both talking.
Exactly. So, and not to mention at that point Project Mayhem, which is when Fight Club has essentially become a terrorist organization. They're so brainwashed by Tyler or the narrator at that point that it's like, oh, so we're just gonna do whatever this person says, and even if he sounds like a crazy person talking to himself, you know, that's fine. That's what the boss does. That's what the boss. It's like a mafia essentially.
And then they do say multiple times like, oh, I hear he's super crazy. This Tyler guy, like, he's done this, this, and this, and it's because
the narrator never talks.
Not only that, but the narrator never knows what Tyler does, so he sounds even more crazy going around to these different fight clubs in the U.S. and being like, what's happening? And we're like, oh my god, he is insane.
He is insane. We don't know what he's doing. But basically, I'd say it's a quality representation of both action and there's also the drama bit with Marla, you know, how he has a love interest, but that's not the centric focus of the story and whatnot. But even with a lot of the beginning part of them starting the Fight Club seems like a fetishization of, like, the masculine dream of just punching and kicking the crap out of each other and whatnot. It becomes so much more than that. Like I said, they essentially become a terrorist organization. And a lot of that, I would have to say, has to do with escapism, because the narrator in the beginning is looking for an escape to help him fall to sleep, or to help him feel like he's being just make him not feel like garbage about himself, which is why he starts going to support groups and everything. And specifically, like, he essentially starts his own support group, which is just a group of like-minded people, which, if anything, can always end up leading to chaos. I mean, look at Fortune.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's like things online now. We go to different places seeking validation from others to seek groups that are like ourselves.
I'd say one of the best lines in the film, like, I'm just like paraphrasing this, but it's basically, no one really starts listening to you until you say that you're dying, or something along those lines, is what the narrator says when Marla asks him why he goes to these support groups.
When people think you're dying, man, they really, really listen to you instead of just waiting for their turn to speak. Yeah.
And I feel like we all kind of connect with him at that point, because, like, no matter what you say on the internet, like, if it's a cry for help, or if it's even just sharing your art or talking about the person you love, somebody's gonna give a crap. Whether it's gonna be hating it, liking it, or just being sick of it, they're gonna have a reaction. Venting online, somebody is going to understand, and that's essentially, I feel like, a lot of how that line applies to today, basically.
Yeah.
The movie also talks about, like, the importance of lower-ranking jobs and how you shouldn't piss off the little guy, because there's basically a lot of points where it talks about how Tyler is like, oh, he worked for a movie theater, he cuts the film, he's a waiter, he does, like, all sorts of different small jobs that not a lot of people like to do, and that really definitely applies, especially in the sense of our generation right now. Like, a lot of us are doing the lower ranking jobs, but we're also worried about anarchy happening because, you know, it gets to the politics of it all, let's just say that.
Yeah. And I mean, you think about, like, the people who take out your garbage, the people who help clean the water. If you take time and think about what happens if those people didn't exist, the amount of trash that would just pile up outside of our dorms, for example, or not having clean water because people aren't going through and making sure it is all filtered.
Yep.
Like, imagine not having those people who do the lower ranking jobs
Exactly, but
disappear.
I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you for joining us on this first episode of Genres for Gen Zs. I'm Ashton.
I'm Maya.
And we don't talk about this anymore.
It's time to take your game to the next level at the MSU Esports Lounge. With top-of-the-line equipment, you'll be changing the game. Featured in the Esports Lounge are 10 gaming stations, a PS5 and Xbox Series X, and 2 Nintendo Switch consoles for loads of fun. You can also get your live stream on in the streaming room. There's something for everyone here at the Esports Lounge. Come join the fun in ADUC Room 252.
Maya and Ash really expose the dual nature of Fincher's work as they cap off an amazing start to our 3rd season. Be sure to check in next time to MSU Magazine to see what our talented creators have waiting behind the scenes. From all of us here at MSU TV, we hope you have a great fall semester. Thanks for watching!